not here tonight?
She should be here. I just saw her at the office, so
Okay.
assuming she's having trouble getting across town.
All right, let's call this meeting to order. We'll do roll call. Roger. Here. Jessica.
Present.
Mike.
Here.
Mark.
No.
Pat. Here. Paul.
No.
And Jacob. Here. Need the approval of minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the June meeting minutes.
Second motion. I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any sayers? Minutes approved. Treasurer, I want you to
I'm sorry, I meant to offer that to you. We have our financial report as of June 30th of 2024. In the general account, our ending balance is $8,662. In Auten, it is $57,900 with a deposit in transit of $4,142. Granger, ending balance is $425,043 with a deposit in transit of $44,263. Wyatt, ending balance $106,824 with a deposit in transit of $19,964. Carriage Hills, our ending balance is $192,423. The only reason I was able to read those is I cheated and wrote the first. If you remember from the last time. We have our claims form, the total of which on that was $65,837.37 for month of July. Let me get my phone back open here. I did want to mention, I would like us to also include for approval Payne Asbury, the invoice we have for the relocation of the scrubber, because we did receive the reimbursement or the payment from Ottawa to pay that.
Full amount.
The full amount. Yes, it was the full amount. We may have previously as a board approved that amount. I'm not sure. So if we have, then no harm, no foul. But if we haven't, I wanted to make sure we approved it so we're able to pay that. And I also wanted to let you know we did receive our spring settlement for the tax liens, and the county gives us a single check. So that was deposited into the general account. But I'd also like the authorization to include Steve can write reimbursement checks to Auten, Granger, and Wyatt for the amounts. So in Auten, it was $1,719.83. In Granger, it was $1,667.17. And for Wyatt, we received $13,380.78 in tax liens. Any questions or have a motion to approve the claims?
I move we approve the claims.
I'll second that. I have a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Good to go.
And then next month, I'll just we can bring the claim form and just get the signatures ratified on it.
Okay. Any requests to extend service?
I don't have any, I'm not aware of any specific new requests, but again, just wanted to let you know the northwest corner of Bittersweet and Anderson, we've given them their fee for the connection. I've gotten information from Kevin at Asbury of their credit availability. So I think their connection fee is around $17,000 based on the use and the number of REUs for the site. That'll be a deposit that will just be reflective in next month's financial report. Yes, it's not the same thing.
Doesn't require.
John, I think you have a request to extend to extend service into district territory.
So we can, yeah, if we want to do that at this point versus privilege of the floor. Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was a formal request, so.
Well, that's an introduction.
Have anything. That's fine. We can do it now. Absolutely.
Hi, I'm Chris Godlewski. I'm with Avid March, and I'm representing David Saransky and Kevin Bond on this development. I think I handed out drawings in advance. What you see is just a concept drawing. There has to be much further civil design and much further development, but this is your first time looking at this. A little history. This went through a rezoning for our R2 residential and to receive variances for the setbacks, because the county doesn't really develop kind of high density residential development. And on the south end, it was zoned commercial. But the main focus of this project is going to be the residential portion first. The commercial portion may not develop for some time, could be either months to years, but the first part of the project is to really start off with the residential. This concept was initially just reviewed by I don't know the name of the board, but the plat committee. Some of the county reviewers, fire department had an initial look at this just to give it a once over. So we're at the point where this development, because of its intensity, does need public sewer. We know that it's private well, individual wells, and probably a fire well for the development. But on the public sewer side, at some point we need to make the request. I guess that would be the time tonight to make that. I can't give you a start time of when we would start the civil engineering process. It'd probably be sometime this fall, which we'd probably have more regular communications. But any information I can take away from tonight would be great to kind of start this process off. So with that, I can answer any questions you have and be glad to have a conversation.
I have a question, but then I can. You can give me your card, Chris, because I'm not sure if I have your current email address. Yeah, I probably can figure it out.
Yep.
She's got an application.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, I can send you information that will need to be filled out once you have those answers.
Yeah.
On exactly what's gonna be happening. It'll be respect to flow, users, that kind of thing, because that gives us then the information we need to be able to communicate back what may be required. Are these roads gonna be public? Right.
Private.
Private.
Yep.
So depending on, do you know what the intention is right now for handling the sewage within the private development and bringing it to the district sewer? As far as, is that trying to do a gravity system and that's all private to where you connect into our low pressure sewer system? Or are you looking to extend that system into this?
I would say initially, yes, gravity, unless the topography doesn't allow for it. And I apologize, I forgot to bring the Alta survey for this. That would have probably helped with that discussion a little bit.
Is this currently within the district as it stands?
Yes.
Good,
Fully.
it's not I think it's not an extension of
Are
service.
these gonna be owned units or leased units?
Owner occupied.
Owner occupied.
Yep. 2-story, garage below, approximately 1,800, 2,000 square feet.
So basically same format in each one, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom.
Yes, as you see on the north end, little larger units.
Yeah.
So this is gonna be a pretty close rendition to what we're constructed.
Would the desire be that these are then all individual customers, or is it gonna be a development customer and then their payment as such is handled
Through their HOA.
through their HOA?
I don't know for sure. My thought, that's a great question. That didn't come up. My guess is it would be individual.
So that you'll need to hold the infrastructure.
And they're gonna need to provide us an easement for
Yeah,
that
to each
infrastructure to
unit.
be in, to be
Yep.
able to get to each customer.
Front yard, yep, or rear.
I see the dots on each lot. Are those the wells location or is that?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and we initially tried to locate them. This is not gonna be perfect, but
Right.
so for separation. Now, there might be a couple that don't work, but yes.
That's what I was
Yeah.
There's a
curious
few
about.
Yep, the ones that are right next to
We're
each
gonna
other.
need electricity too.
Well, it depends what system is able to accommodate the development. If gravity within, no.
Right, but
What
if
is the
we
developer looking?
pump,
Obviously,
Yeah.
gravity feed's gonna
Yeah.
be more expensive.
And if
Is-
they've got a
is he
lift
looking to
station
have
or-
you guys design a force main system?
It initially, because of the topography, it's kind of a little bit of a bowl. So possibly on the west half, gravity, east half, maybe possibly lift system, but I'm not sure to the extent, so I guess whatever to the limitations are there,
I
so.
bet you $1 this land is lower than the lift station across the street.
$1?
$1?
It has the TOCO on it, if you can read the number.
Yeah, but is
That was a
the
lot of confidence.
Yeah, it's
$1.25?
And as the developer decided on the economics of that, would it be a developer funded build out and then a donation to the district?
I guess there's various ways you can go, Chris.
There's a lot of.
Or you can have your own private system and in your main and connect into our sewer and we charge you.
Yeah.
Monthly. One bill.
Very convenient.
Donating the system,
Yeah.
donating the
Say.
system to the district allows the HOA not to have to police
Correct.
collections.
Fixed and all that stuff, yeah.
All of that falls to Asbury, but you know.
But you're also building it to a very high standard. And
Well, you're gonna have to build it to that
You're gonna have to
standard.
build it. No,
that's-
Otherwise we won't let you hook up.
The other option is the district would be to fund it, but then the cost would be much higher.
There'd be no change. There'd be a grinder per 2 units, right?
If it's full pressure, yes.
So
Will they allow a grinder per 2 units?
Oh, yeah, we've got.
Yeah, we've got
We've got
duplexes,
multiple
pretty much
customers on a single grinder.
Is
It
there,
just has to be sized, pump has to be sized appropriately.
is there a standards manual that the district has?
We have.
We call it Jessica.
Okay.
yeah.
It's right there. I'm looking at it.
E1 equipment.
E1 grinder stations are typically what we have in Granger, but we do have a kind of specifications of what those connections at the time the project was constructed was to comply with. And I can provide that with the application information.
Sounds exciting.
and it'd be great if we saw gravity feed, or you guys put the entire system in, if we just provide the connection out of Bittersweet Trail. But, and charge the homeowner association one bill.
I could see.
That would create some issues for your billing ordinance in the future, right? In other words, when you set a rate for a residential customer, if you're billing them as a complete HOA, you wouldn't be billing each individual homeowner customer. So it could be that they're paying more or a different rate than the rest of Granger. How would you calculate that?
Use the same.
Also,
Just add it together.
Yeah. Big giant pile.
So it wouldn't be a flat rate.
No.
It would be the same rate, but just
Yes.
going to the HOA.
Correct.
But then if the HOA is gonna own it, they're gonna have to also include.
I guess,
maintenance,
Yeah,
all
I
that
mean,
good
the
stuff.
developer needs to doodle the thing out, which way he wants to go.
I mean, there is an HOA because we have private streets, there's gonna be
Right.
maintenance, things like
Right.
that, but I'm not aware, of maybe you all have more experience, are there any HOAs that regulate utility bills?
No.
Other than lights for a street or?
Well,
Eastgate.
the cluster systems do. If they have a cluster system, the HOA is handling that.
It has to be a governing authority.
Or the developer gets stuck with it forever.
Right. Will some of these details or options be spelled out in that application?
So, I mean, it's pretty general. It's more it's kind of an information finding exercise. And then we go from there, but at least it'll help with count and what you think the estimated flow is, and those sorts of things. But with it being a private development, so we would absolutely need easements if we're having to serve each individual customer, because then we gotta get there somehow.
plus easement for the electric, for the grinders.
If, I say if it has,
Yeah.
if it's the low pressure.
And then again, this is phase one, sometime down the road, what sits out front is the commercial.
Correct.
Which would be, it would be fed from State Road 23, so the two systems really would be independent.
Is currently what's out front now being serviced by the district?
It has availability to be serviced.
Okay, they're still on
Yeah,
up.
well, I mean, the one was unimproved. One lot was unimproved.
Right.
And I have to check, I think the previous residential home that was there actually was on the sewer when it was in 2012, but.
Or the lot. Is that the house on the north? What is that, northwest corner?
Well, you've got a development on the northwest corner, or sorry,
Yeah,
northeast
I'm
corner.
showing something, that's what I was thinking. Okay,
Oh, yeah, no, we're down on 23 now.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually,
that grouping.
yes, and it goes around there, so if you go further east, you go to your right,
deal with it?
there you go.
What's that?
Do you deal with it?
It's all of that.
Dave?
Yeah.
Yes,
Correct.
yes,
He
yes,
just did, you know, he knows what's going on here. He just did this one, the other
yes,
townhomes.
yes. I think it was called
Sure.
Sherry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep,
This,
but those were townhomes.
This is,
They are just a single customer.
this is a model of that, the 4-block unit,
Yeah.
but yeah, keep in mind, those were two sets. This is many multiples, and then you don't have the
Oh, but he would add
public
the,
water either.
he would add the private road,
You did,
but the easements, all that other stuff.
but they are a single customer. It's not being charged.
They're just one
per-
customer?
Yes, I
Right.
believe so.
Did they dedicate
Well,
the system to us, or they maintain the system?
You would have to.
Like inside the subdivision?
Yeah.
I would imagine, since,
They're
Up to a point.
yeah, that they did not.
yeah.
I don't know.
Doesn't mean that they wouldn't hire Asbury if they had an issue.
They decided.
But, I don't know.
This will be leading properties.
That's right.
Well, if you could get that application, I could answer some of those questions. There's probably a good chance I'd be back next month to help foster that patient development.
Will you kind of maintain as being our point of contact
Yes.
or?
Yes, yep.
And we've got some information we can show
Okay,
previous projects.
great.
Right, thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right, moving on to district project. You have anything for Granger?
Well, is Hassan Green, or no, this is project updates.
So,
That's,
Yeah,
we
we'll do
kind
that in old business.
Fair Hills, doesn't know the projects, Wyatt. Oh,
So no update from our meeting a couple months ago with waste management, so got everything.
all right. Report of officers, area plan, surveyor, health, and engineering, moving on. Yeah, let's get to old business. You're on.
I'm on. Hess, we have done some pretty deep digging and realized that they have been paying since the institution of the Granger sub-district. So any complaints now that they should not have been paying seem to be ill-founded. We are drafting a final letter. That's not to say it won't still end up in some form of legal action, but we are finalizing a letter that will go out in the next day or two. I'll send it to you for signature. That actually, I'll sign it as district council that says, you know, just that, you've been paying this. Now, it looks like they never connected. And they have been paying the full connection fee. I don't know if that's a problem. The bigger problem is, shouldn't there have been an inspection? I mean, is that then an illegal septic system?
so it was just whether or not then the health department
Followed up.
followed up to say, here's your drop. We gave dates of when the connections were to occur. And we had more than one customer that didn't readily connect. And we have more than one customer that still hasn't connected, but they're paying their bill.
That's
And
what
at that
happened.
point, it's they're meeting the commitment of what the ordinance, as far as
But no,
the monetary commitment.
the monetary, but not, I mean, the
And so
commitment's two-part. It's
the
still
board
connected.
had not pushed it. So,
And the health
It was-
department hasn't,
right, hasn't pushed it either.
not terribly surprised.
And
But it does put them in a weird place, right? Because they could be operating a bad septic system. It's out of the regime of inspection because we think it's connected.
but when they sell, they have to have the inspection.
No, because according to
Well, they
public
did
county
say-
records,
No,
it's
they didn't.
connected,
No,
No,
it isn't.
but we didn't know that. No one knew it wasn't connected. We have a grinder pump out there or something. Some
do
sort
the
of
people
equipment.
that are living there think it's connected?
No idea. The people that
Well,
are living
that's
there are
what
not
they
the
do.
Hesses.
Yeah, they're not that.
Right, I'm saying, if they think it's connected,
But
where are
there
they
are
gonna be
grinder,
shot?
there's a grinder there because it's feeding more than the property.
When they find out
So
they gotta
it- yeah,
replace something.
it wasn't installed because it was a property to
It's just,
connect.
it's ended up being so strange, but we are getting a letter out basically telling him to go pound sand.
The old owner or the current?
The
owner?
old
The
owner,
old
the current owner,
He's-
Asbury, is working on getting them to start paying.
Right, and they'll get leaned. if they're not.
So did this property not get a deferment back when?
It wasn't eligible for
It
deferment.
wasn't eligible?
Correct. We had, I wanna say 56 residential customers that were not eligible to defer and had to connect
Okay,
Because of the age of the septic system.
because of the age of the septic system. Now, a lot of those properties, their septic system probably was fully functioning.
Well, this is one of those that seems to have been fully functioning. I wasn't able to find where they had a septic inspection at the time of sale, but I didn't dig that hard into that. Because quite honestly, I don't think it matters. I think they're obligated by your ordinance to connect.
They are.
And I think the tricky part is when the new owner realizes that he's not on a sewer and thought he was.
And that
Then the realtor and a whole bunch of other people.
and he's gonna have some costs to connect.
Right.
Now, his connection fee was paid for though, because the
Right, but not maybe not
former
our
property
costs.
owner paid the connection fee. So not only did they pay their monthly bill, they paid the connection fee in 2012.
Chances are the property was listed when it sold.
Yep.
And there was a sales disclosure, or not a sales disclosure that goes to the county, but a homeowner's disclosure.
A seller's disclosure to the new owner.
And with that, and it's been a while since I've looked at one of those, but
I think the residential doesn't ask sewer. I think it asks utilities.
yeah, I think so.
I think it does.
I think it does say sewer or if septic. Yeah.
So
It gives you
the
either
previous
or.
seller would have had to answer that question,
Yes.
and the buyer would rely on that information. So they
Could
might
be
have an argument there.
It could be a real hairy mess.
Well, if the seller said we're connected to sewer.
Yeah, water and
we're
sewer
not,
system, septic field bed is one of them.
I thought it was on there.
So it'll be interesting to see what he actually said.
Well, that's a new owner problem. And
That's-
again, I have
that's
not
right.
heard
No, but
from.
that would give the owner some recourse, like you represented right
That's
here,
right.
that you were on the sewer and you weren't pony up to get me connected.
And then, but the old owner is the one that started the issue. I don't think he's out of the woods yet.
And I'll say both the board and the health department, we're very consistent, is if the system did not meet the minimum requirements to be on septic, then they were pursued until they got connected. Because we did have some residential systems that failed inspections.
Sure.
And health department stayed on them.
The ones
until
that
they
fail.
got right.
But what I'm saying about these is, like this one, I don't think anybody's inspected. There's a potential that this one's not been inspected. But then-
Recently.
But then with this disclosure form, that opens up a new ball of wax, because not only would it be that, it would also be that if he marked septic field and septic holding tank as included, that would have triggered an
It
inspection.
should have,
Couldn't have closed without the inspection. Couldn't have gotten title.
right.
Well, you could have, if the buyer didn't want it, then the bank didn't ask for it, nobody wanted it. Somebody has to ask for it, otherwise it doesn't happen.
And that happens.
I can't believe a realtor would not tell his buyer to get
That might be an important piece of paperwork.
That would be,
So, but again, that's for the new owner. The new owner has some issues with the old owner already because the old owner may, if the old owner pursues action, we would name the new owner because the new owner has gotten 2 years of free septic.
Yeah.
Free sewers.
So, even though he's not really using.
So we're still playing with it. I don't think it's anything that's going to conclude anytime soon. It depends on how stubborn the old owner wants to be, but and how successful Asbury is with getting the new owner to understand the situation.
Have we actually had any actual reply back from the new owner? Did we know?
That would be an Asbury question, and I noticed they're not on today.
Yeah, I know when
We
last
haven't
month.
yet gotten involved as legal. I think last meeting they said they were pursuing. There was another issue of 3 that we were working on that resolved itself, a collections issue, I believe.
Yes.
And then the third issue is this insurance claim for the damage from as a result of the car accident. We are working with our insurance company to get that resolved. To be quite honest with you, Progressive and our agent are being a bit more difficult than I think they should be. I queued up a pretty nasty email to Stacy yesterday. We provided them Asbury's invoice for the complete repair. The invoice included about 18 days of pumping when the system wasn't working. And now they're asking for details on all of those pumping invoices.
They just want to see the subcontractors.
Correct.
Which is pretty normal.
It is, but it's also, I think it's not necessary. I think that you can ask Asbury about that, but I think Asbury's putting together those invoices. They do fluctuate. Some days they're 320 for pumping, some days they're 1,000. I would assume that
Right.
that's how.
It's based on flow.
Yeah, that's how who flows. So it looks like that's what the resolution is going to be there is that Progressive's going to pay the claim and then subrogate against. So we're just finalizing that. Check is forthcoming.
State Farm, really.
I think that wasn't State Farm, I believe the automobile policy was State.
How did Progressive get it?
Oh, I'm sorry, Progressive, you're right. Progressive was our carrier. Progressive, our carrier.
No, our carrier, it looks like, I talked to Stacy. Stacy's like, these, they're just being a pain in the ass on this whole invoice thing. Once we get them the invoice, they've already basically know they're gonna pay. They're just being a pain in the ass.
So Progressive, Progressive is subrogating the claim to us.
I think that's who had that's who the auto carrier was. But then it wasn't the owner driving, it was a little fuzzy there.
It was a kid.
Yeah.
Kid stole the car and took for
Yeah, and that's where it gets fuzzy. If they're paying it good, because Progressive's policies basically only cover the owner. If you
well,
read their stuff.
They would call that theft. Now, I don't know if the kid's related to the owner, but I
think
believe
it's-
it was different names on the police report, if I remember.
Yeah, I think
the
so.
driver was a different name from the owner. That's my news.
As long as they send a check.
So the connections in Princess Way Park that.
Oh, that's the other thing. I'm sorry that you're right. There was that third.
Oh, I thought that was the second thing was all clear.
Oh, I wish that was cleared out. So that's gotten really, really, really convoluted. Although Jessica sent me an email, I haven't really completely unpacked it yet. All right. Merrill is claiming he did everything right.
Unburied.
Well, here's what he does have, and this threw me for a loop, and this is something that we need to discuss. St. Joe County sent him an invoice for $1,400 for Princess Way sewer connection.
Yeah, because it's for work performed in the right of way.
But I don't understand. What are they getting $1,400 for?
It's based on how many bores it depends on the utility permit. I probably could find it too. But you've got payment for open excavation, bores, linear foot, it's $10 per every quarter mile. Yeah,
Just a bunch of fees.
Yeah, they're fees for the permits. And I'm pretty sure they charged him probably penalties because he performed the work in the right of way without obtaining the permit prior. And it's not his first infraction for that, so.
So I guess he's hiding behind this idea. Nobody ever told me to go to the district.
Which.
And
That's some horse shit.
well,
Is that what
Like I said, we're being recorded, I can't start.
We can't say it out loud. Yeah, it is.
I understand.
All right.
So
I will be more professional. I apologize.
he's hired Sean Towner over at May Oberfell. Sean can be they're not being pushy. They're saying we will do whatever we need to do to get in compliance. I guess the question I have for you on this whole situation is, what do you want us to squeeze out of him for the non-compliant connections? Is it dig them up and show us?
Yes. I mean,
I would
and it
just-
needs to
I would
cover the
just do it
cost for that
because-
to be inspected.
If you let him slide on this one, the next one is gonna go the same.
Is he
way.
done yet? Has he sold everything he owns?
He hasn't, and I think that's one of the reasons that
Well, plus connection
Right.
fees and all the other, right?
Yes, I have to check on what, because in some he actually.
Probably pretty close to it.
Has he been making availability?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes,
Okay, so some of those
Yes.
connection fees could have
Get
been
offset.
washed, right?
yes.
what we may, and I don't know what happens now practically, but legally, I would love to understand the process of someone taking a parcel in unincorporated county. And at what point are they notified if they're within, if they're on our system, if they can connect to our system? What point are they notified that they need to contact us? And who does that? Who tells them, you have to go see the district?
That's been some of the problem all along. When we had Abby
Works
Wiles
great with-
in here from area plan,
Yeah.
that's been an issue that they're not letting that developer or that person know that they need to make contact with.
And I think when you say they, it's both county engineering and the health department.
I was gonna say, yeah, because the health department knows what the district is. And there are then in Indiana law that if you are within X amount of feet of a public system, you are to connect to that sewer. And that check goes through the health department because they can't issue a septic permit if
You're within.
you're within that. So that's usually occurring from the health department. If they're thinking to check it and every single time checking it.
Do they?
No.
That I don't know.
But here, in this situation, Merrill must have known, or somebody told him there was sewer connection there, right? I mean, he didn't just happen to keep digging till he found the
Absolutely
pipe.
knows there's
He knows
sewer
exactly
connections.
what-
Chris was a contractor to connect
Yeah.
customers in Granger to
Yeah.
sewer.
He cooked probably half of them
And
up.
he deferred, he submitted paperwork to defer to the sewer. He 100%, 150% knows there's sewer there. And he knows the district exists. And he knows the district is independent from St. Joseph County because the lawyer letter was, I got a permit from St. Joseph County. Well, guess what? We're not St.
we're not
Joseph
St.
County.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is I understand that, you
Yes.
understand that, but look at how intimately involved we are with the district.
Yes.
Guys, I'm your lawyer. What I'm telling you now, we went to court over some of this. We are a little bit too ambiguous.
Yes, I don't disagree.
We are not
Well-
clearly stated, and I think we need to be more clearly stated so that as these things happen in the future, there is a very clear roadmap on, that's not true, you were told here, you were told here, you were told here, here's our website, here's instructions to be found on our website. I do think Hess had the same comment to me. Well, you're the county. No, we're not the county. It's hard for them to understand we're not the county. That is a fairly foreign concept. So I do think practically it would help if we have some sort of whether we go to the commissioners and ask them to renew or push the health department to do a better job or what, but I think it needs to be a bit more clearly stated.
I
Well,
think that,
And the health department wouldn't have caught this circumstance because Chris was not going to go to the health department. He was gonna go right out there with his excavator.
Because he knew where the line
I'm
was.
curious if he abandoned his septic. If he's filed the paperwork for the permit to abandon the septic.
I thought it was new construction.
There was
No,
not-
well, there might be one of the lots, maybe new construction, but the others were existing buildings.
I feel like, yes, the health department needs to be more diligent about checking that. And the building department too, like, they should be set it up, like, I can't, it's been a while since I pulled a residential building permit, but I couldn't go get my permit until I had my permits for my laterals
Right.
and all that approved, so they would either need to get that, and this is not necessarily an abandonment of an existing residence with a septic, but when they pull that building permit, it should be, I've got my septic permit, or I've got my letter from the district, so the district is aware, or I've got my laterals.
In points in time, that was occurring. I think it fluctuates based on transition and
So is that just like,
conversation,
is that just something like if we have a conversation with Randy and we ask Randy to step up his game there or
probably.
update his checklist or
Has
something
it
along
fallen
those
off
lines?
since you've left county employee?
Well, yeah.
I would say yes, because I was reviewing every permit that was coming in, so I knew if we were on district or not, and I would then.
And prior to that, we had Susan, so
Yes. I mean,
you're up
You
to the
were
time.
reviewing every county building permit?
I, be it driveway permits, developments, not every building permit per se.
Yeah.
But most everything that
But you were catching a lot as it was
would
coming
need to
across.
go
your
through the
desk.
district comes through this office. Yes.
I think what it amounts to is anything that carries through building department, there needs to be a process in place that any district service property or capability
Let's say
carry that,
service area.
that those have to get flagged and issued to us for review. And this body has to review those.
Yep.
So
They should end up, there should be some kind of a form that they need to have, that they can take to the engineering office, the building department, and the health department that says, hey, the sewer district is okey dokey with me.
And I think it should trigger, I think it should be something that triggers or is triggered during the COA process, right? I don't think, or COO, I don't think they should get their certificate of
No, they shouldn't.
occupancy
No.
until
No.
such time as
They probably
we
should
have
get the bloody building
confirmed
permit to
that
start.
they have an account, that they've properly connected, we've properly inspected, we've set them up in billing, etc.
Yeah, I mean, for the other departments, building department, you know, they're doing inspections, electrical, all that other stuff have to be done before
Correct.
they get their final CO.
Now I'm playing devil's advocate. Because that's kind of, that has been, I'm not gonna say specifically for this, but there's been
Some pushback.
some reluctancy to be the police of what needs to be done if it isn't, you know, saying, one, it's not my department, or, you know, we've had that through, I'm gonna say even when I was still with the county, when we were trying to get a unified permit system, they're just, people are backing away from, well, that's not specifically what we're required to do, we're responsible for, and so I'm
But
not
to be
checking it.
fair, they're not responsible for AEP. But yet they won't give a COO unless there's a proper connection to electrical, it's been inspected, and power is run to the unit.
Right.
I
think
gotta
then
think
at
if
that
I
point-
dig deep, there's gotta be some sort of a,
Realistically, it's gotta be the health department, because they either have a septic permit. If you
If they want a
won't
septic
give them a
permit, they have to
septic
have a sewer
permit, then they
permit.
need to have a sewer permit from us.
Exactly.
That's where that's really the.
And
way.
it's
Well,
on-
let's flip it over to
They
say
did that.
they're gonna have a water connection or they're gonna have a well. You know, if you just like, if we could zero in on that, they couldn't get that without discharge ability.
And I know I couldn't get my building permit unless I had my little paper from the health department that said I'm all good with my septic.
But I think
Right.
what is happening is there's been some complacency within the health department that they're just issuing the permits and they're not paying attention if they're in the district or not. Or if they're in a served district, because the district's countywide, everybody's in the district. but-
Isn't the health department supposed to make sure the water pumps?
Yeah.
brings no report to the table when he is,
Now, is that what you're talking about?
we're being recorded. I guess my question is, I think, again, my advice to you is that you take an aggressive affirmative step, try to resolve the problem, either through the commissioners or independently through each county agencies. You may not be a county agency, but yet commissioners have a pretty strong tie to this body.
Yep.
And, you know, I would advise that Don or someone reach out to the commissioners and set up a meeting, hopefully get the county departments to talk about the protocol. This isn't a Chris Merrill thing. We're gonna get through to Chris. And if we don't, we'll lean the properties or we'll do whatever we need to do.
Right.
But
Not worried about that.
this is more of a future, there is obviously some ambiguity as to how the district goes up in the process.
The health department is probably the place where it needs to happen. It makes the most sense.
But they could start in the building department review process.
and that should we should be added to that list of reviewing.
Anything that happens.
They don't
in the
give a
county.
building permit unless they've got the sewer permit
Yeah.
or the septic permit.
But I say those notifications are only for, they're not for residential
Right,
permits.
normally
That's
those
the
are
only-
for commercial.
Yeah, they're gonna be
Yeah.
commercial or larger density type residential. But at least that helps. I mean, that's where the ambiguity is definitely an issue is with just the residential customer, because the general resident is not gonna have any idea what the regional water sewer district is and who they are. and
To your
what it
point
is.
regarding the residential, I mean, there are times where city gets contacted because they are within so many feet. And then we have to make the decision whether or not it's financially or fiscally responsible to have them extend 300 feet to connect, because there are a number of properties that we've said, hey, this isn't a good idea unless you've got 3 or 4 other customers that can take that. We're okay with you having a septic system there versus tying on to water sewer and extending that, because the value to do it in some cases, it's double what the house
What
is.
triggers that conversation?
What triggers that? Usually we get triggered by the health department.
See,
And
I think
that's because they are outside of our service area, or just outside enough that they're within it to where they could connect. And then there's some hard conversations that have to be had about.
I
how
don't
that-
think that the district is being treated as an equal to a municipal provider of, like, say, the city of
And
South Bend or City of
what we
Mishawaka.
could do is I think we could get there, even if we needed interlocal between us and the county, right? That the county will provide us these services, and in exchange, we will provide sewer to the district, to the counties. I don't know how we would phrase it, but I think we need to get someone's attention.
I guess my comment is that in the cases where it was between septic or tie-on to municipal, it doesn't differ in the situation that we have. If we're a service district and they're within that service area,
It should be the
that same
city.
phone call should be happening.
Yes, and that's what's not happening right now.
So but specifically then, leaving that, saying, okay, I'll leave it to,
Supposedly Dan's trying to call in.
Yeah, I don't know. Any of that.
I mean, is there anybody to admit?
We're recording, but yeah, there isn't anything that pops up.
Oh,
And I'm wondering if she picked the wrong meeting again.
Dan Fox is trying to call in.
yeah, that's what he's saying. Pick the wrong meeting.
She may have logged on to the wrong actual, not this meeting, but code.
Oh, some other meeting, that will happen in case about later.
And I don't know how. I mean, this has been the same meeting.
Yes,
Okay.
agreed.
All right.
Human beings.
If I can help, Tony Hazen is a friend and I know him well. I can send an email. I can get you a meeting. You just let me know how you want to proceed.
Yeah,
I do think we need to
Tony.
look
I
at
went to school with Tony. We've known each other forever.
I think we need to put some pressure on them to include us in the process. Chris Merrill, I will push his attorney to tell him that this is what we expect. I'll let you know where that goes. We're trying not to necessarily spin it up. He has been fairly cooperative, although the more I get to know about his history, the more it becomes obvious that he's not being cooperative. He's just
He's only being as cooperative as he has to
He's got,
make you go away.
buffaloed.
Yeah, I mean, he really, none of this, he played, the first email I have back from him is, oh my gosh, I totally thought I complied.
Yeah.
What do I have to do?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're just like deja vu of 20 years.
That's right.
Is that
This
how he's
is the
been
first
doing it?
one. No,
Okay.
Time?
Every time we have to get a driveway permit from, I didn't know I had to get a driveway permit. I have records somewhere you paid hundreds of driveway permits.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah. It's in his first rodeo.
No.
So you guys set me
This
out.
is the rodeo.
You set me out blind, and then you're surprised that I come back.
But it does go back to, it does go back to your statement, there's too much confusion, and you're right, we're not an equal. So somehow we need to get that, and we need to have a way of being able to provide that, whether it's a boundary map of each one of our district. But again, they should even be talking to the district, even if it's a development outside of that boundary, if it makes economic sense for the proposed.
The city doesn't have a health department, correct? You contract with the county health department?
Health department, yeah, they act on our behalf in areas where we don't. So if they had a septic inspection inside the city, because we do have customers that aren't tied into city sewer, or even municipal, their own private wells. We have some city customers that are still on wells, so they would apply to those.
That is my own business.
All right. All right, any new business?
For me,
All right, privilege of the floor. About adjournment.
Make a motion.
Not gonna motion. Got a second?
Second.
I got a second. All those say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Like.